I know like my feedback from parents, especially I think when the kids are really young, is that they're like, everyone just thinks I'm a shit parent. Like they're looking at my kid having a meltdown and they think that I'm just not parenting them well and that it's my fault. And there's a lot of shame and they're very self-conscious. And I think, and I'm like, we're teaching our kids to self-advocate. If they say no to you, that's a win. We are happy.
I'm like, you just hang out with one for one day and shove all that aside and see the student for who he is, and you're going to realize real quick, like, this guy just needs to be unlocked.
Bad therapy is worse than no therapy at all.
This is the Unspecial Podcast. We are a space for parents to be seen, heard, equipped, and inspired. We're not here to tell you what to do with your child or present the latest and greatest behavior modifications. We are simply here for you, the parent. And our goal, our hope, is that through every one of these conversations, you leave feeling a little bit more inspired and hopeful. We are glad you're here. Hope you enjoy this next episode. All right, this is the Unspecial Podcast. Thank you so much for being here. Somewhere along the way, parents were taught to measure their child's worth by milestones, by eye contact, by independence, by how closely they resemble everyone else. But today's guest, Ellie Brink, is challenging the narrative at its core. Boom, boom. Through her work, her platform, Height Disability Success, and her new podcast, the Behave Podcast, she's asking a different question. What if success was never about fixing the child in the first place? What if it was about finally seeing them? This is a conversation about unlearning, listening, and redefining what it truly means to support, advocate, and love our kids exactly as they are. This is the Unspecial Podcast. Ellie, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
Yeah. So Ellie and I are having a mutual friend, and Ellie's friend, Heidi, is my trainer here at RepFit in Oceanside, California. And you used to train with Heidi, correct?
Yes. When I lived in San Diego, that's how I met Heidi. Best trainer that exists. Best trainer in the world.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. You can tell what kind of night she had the night before with how the morning workout is. I'm like, Heidi, were you mad last night? Like, what's up?
Yeah. You're like, please just show me some mercy. I didn't do it to you. Like, right. Come on.
Did the kids like make you mad or something?
Yeah.
And then the 5 a.m., we're always the test class.
Yeah.
And so most of them are usually harder.
Yeah. And it's like the time cap just feels like, how would I ever meet that? And she's like, oh, sorry, that felt unreasonable. And you're like, yeah, okay, thank you.
Right. It's like, there's no way we could do an EMOM in 2 minutes and do all these exercises. No, you can.
So nothing's changed. Good to know.
That was this morning. I went through the workout and I'm like, so when do we breathe?
Yeah.
And she's like, you don't? During your 1 minute plank? Perfect. All right. So now you're in Australia. What's the background? Like, how did you get into this world of behavior when it more specifically comes to autism? And, or really any special needs?
Any of it. Yeah. Well, actually in the States. So I grew up in Australia, but I moved to the States after university or college. And when I moved to the States, I started working as just a nanny for a non-speaker, an autistic boy. And then
Did you know that going into it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was always my passion. So I'd done my undergraduate in psychology and neuroscience. And then I've always wanted to do something that helps people. That's always been my goal. And I didn't know about any of the field or anything when I started. I just was like, oh, this is amazing. This kid is beautiful. I can connect with him. I am very naturally build rapport and I'm very easy to connect with people with disabilities. So they came very naturally to me. And then I ended up being his school aide and I went to school with him. And then over time, actually, his psychologist was like, hey, you should look into ABA. I think a lot of it you're doing kind of naturally, like prompting and fading supports and all of these types of things. You should look into it. So I did. And then I did my master's in ABA. And kind of got
There's
to
a
actually,
master's in ABA.
yeah, to become a BCBA, which is a board certified behavior analyst,
Right.
you have to have a master's, and then you have to have, now I think it's 2,000 hours of supervised field work.
Hmm.
So it's definitely like, as it should be. There is a education and training requirement to be able to do it, because it's a very important job that holds a lot of value. So there should be a barrier to getting into it. But yeah, I ended up then working with him until he went to finished high school and faded myself out so that he was at high school a couple of days a week by himself independently. We'd set up the environment really well. The school was super supportive, which was amazing. And I then started working in a more clinical setting, and progressed my way up through there and became a clinical supervisor there. And yeah, so then when I moved back to Australia, the field here is very different. But I ended up starting Hype once I moved
Okay.
here. Yeah.
What are we allowed to say school names? What schools were you at here? Over here?
Oh, I was at a private school in San Diego.
Oh, okay. Private. Nice.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's I kind of fell into it also. I was a sub and I
Yeah.
had
Okay.
no history in special education at
Hmm.
all. The first job that came up was substitute paraeducator, and I didn't
Hmm.
even know what it meant. I just went, "Sure, I'll go." And I showed up. I walked into a kindergarten class. A kid kicked me in the shin. There was like a student on a desk. There was one trying to climb a bookshelf, and I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
what is going
Uh-huh.
on in here? And I literally the whole day, I pretty much the my student I was with, he was an eloper. I pretty much
Yeah.
ran around school the whole day.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
my next two subbing assignments were in the general education, and I was falling asleep. I'm like, this is so boring. I can't handle it. And then one of
Yeah.
their all their attitudes and entitlement, I'm like, this isn't for me. And so I found some more of the special ed classes. And I'm like, this is my jam. And so
Yes.
they naturally, because I'm a guy, so they would always match me with like the violent and
Hmm.
non-speakers, and I
Hmm.
loved it. It was so fun. Like all day long, I'm just trying to figure out what's going on and not get hurt. But the
And the
rush,
classrooms are very district dependent. So as I progressed up and became a clinical supervisor, we actually had contracts with school districts.
yeah,
So we got to work. We provided support and had students in different school settings. So it was very interesting to see district to district what things looked like, because it varied a lot in terms
yeah,
of the supports, in terms of how classrooms were run, the funding that they had to even have supports and have, like, whether it be 1-to-1 or 1-to-3 kind of thing.
right.
So I quickly, I think, realized that, yeah, everything is not created equal, um,
No,
across schools.
right. It's kind of hit or miss, and it
Mm,
really comes down to the teacher a lot of the time,
yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah. And
So
that's the same with everything. It's the same with finding a BCBA or a speech therapist or an OT. Depends on the
right,
person.
yeah, and the schooling career, like becoming a teacher is I mean, in my route to the classroom, I did online school.
Hmm.
I would go at nighttime, like 3 times a week, and we would learn a bunch of book stuff. And then essentially, to get my master's in special education, all I did was write essays for 2 years.
Hmm.
But thankfully, I started teaching on an intern credential,
Hmm.
so I literally just wrote about what I was doing all day.
Hmm.
But for most teachers, they go to 4 year, get their degree in what is it even called? Liberal studies, I think. And
Okay.
then you have to do like another 2 years of credential program.
Hmm.
And I didn't do any of that. I just did it online. And my
Yeah.
first, I had a lady come observe me from my school. The first day she came to observe, she walked in the class. One of my students threw a shoe, it hit her in the head, and she was like, she had to have been 80.
Mm.
And she walked out. She called me later that day and she's like, I'm not coming to your class. You're going to need to meet me in the faculty room. So she never observed.
Wow.
I know. Which
That's so
I'm thankful
interesting.
for. I mean, it was the joke afterwards. I went up to the student. I'm like, thanks, buddy.
Yeah. Thanks for hooking me up.
Yeah, thanks for getting her out of my way. But what's one of the craziest stories you
I feel like I don't have any crazy stories. I
Okay,
mean,
best story.
yeah. I mean, I've got to go really cool places. I've
Oh
got to
yeah,
do
well,
really cool things. I think the funnest part of my job is like getting to be in the community with all of my
yes.
learners and getting to like, I've been to so many theme parks. Like, I've ridden so many roller coasters. I've run through theme parks. I've like done it all. I think in terms of crazy, I think is when, you're getting eyeballed by people and you're like, we're just here living our lives. Like, don't worry about us. We're not worrying about you. Like, if we're going to ride this roller coaster and sing the same song 50 times because that's our vibe, we're going to
That's
do
what
it.
we
And we
do.
don't need you. Please leave.
Yeah.
So I think it's been funny, actually. I'm not very good at the irony, I'm not very good at self-advocating in like public for myself. Like, if I get given the wrong coffee order, I'm the one that's just
Yeah.
taking the coffee order because like I cannot say anything, very uncomfortable. So I'm not super confrontational like that. But if I'm with a client or I'm with like, yeah, one of my learners and somebody even eyeballs us, I'm like, back up. Like, we're not
Right.
doing it. So I'm like, wow, cool. I do have it in me, just not for me, but for the
That's
people
for
I
me.
care about.
Totally. Yeah, I remember we went to Disneyland when I was teaching middle school, the eighth graders. And it
Mhm.
was like the principal came in, she's like, hey, do you want to take your eighth graders? And I was like, heck yeah. And then I looked into it and we skipped every single line straight to the front.
Mhm.
We went on every ride in the whole park. It was the time of my life. And they're like, I don't know if you should do it. But like you, my favorite part was taking them in the community. It was
Huh.
the best. And it was so unpredictable. It was such a rush. It was just like, what's going to happen? I don't know. Let's just go for it.
Yeah, and it's
And
the
they,
pivoting, like the
hmm
problem solving, and like I'm like, okay, you need to run. Let's find a place where you can run. Like, let's
right.
problem solve this together.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I think that feels so valuable because it's like, okay, that's what life is, right?
Mhm.
It's going into the we don't want our children to or our young adults to have their life closed down around them. We want them to be going into these new places and new environments, and it's about us having the skills and knowledge to adapt what we know works for them to that new setting so that they can be in that setting but still get their needs met and be successful.
Totally. So for a parent, I know this is, it's difficult for parents to take some of their
Mm,
children out in public. What would be some like hacks to set them up for and to have success in doing
mm,
something like this?
mm. I think it so depends on your kid and what
Yeah.
what it is for them. I know like my feedback from parents, especially I think when the kids are really young, is that they're like, everyone just thinks I'm a shit parent. Like, they're looking at my kid having a meltdown and they think that I'm just not parenting them well and that it's my fault. And there's a lot of shame and they're very self-conscious. And I think what if I've watched the trajectory of most of my parents, that does fade over time. Like, as they get older and parents get more confident and they get more, I guess they get a thicker skin, which is
Yeah.
super sad to say. It's like you just have to get comfortable with it because it's not, at this point in time, we haven't seen it change. Um, their confidence builds, and actually, with that, their ability to co regulate their child in the environment builds because they're no longer anxious and nervous that their kid's having a meltdown and they're able to hold their regulation and then be that space of co regulation. And then it actually everything ends up working a bit better.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Totally. Let's hit on that co-regulation piece. What
Mm,
co-regulation is huge. Even for anybody, for any
for
parent.
everybody.
For myself,
Yeah.
a lot of our listeners know we've been going through 2 years of a cancer journey.
Yeah.
My kids, I have four of them, and I hands down, if I am not regulated, they're a disaster.
Yeah.
And yeah, obviously I lose it sometimes.
Right.
Um, and that's why I go to the gym at 5 a.m. But when I can like show up to a meltdown with regulation, it changes
Mm-hmm.
everything.
Mm-hmm.
Can you break
Mm-hmm.
down co-regulation?
Yeah. Co-regulation is my favorite. And I'll say to my husband, I just need you to co-regulate me. And he's like, don't put this on me. um, but yeah, so co-regulation. So really we say like co-regulation is the foundation for regulation, especially with our kids. They're not meant to be able to self-regulate. That is not a skill that they are developmentally meant to have. And we learn regulation through co-regulation. That is how regulation develops. And I've said co-regulation like 50 times now. So what is co-regulation? Co-regulation is the ability to be able to hold that space for another person to be able to regulate back down. So as someone's escalating up, you'll find if you also escalate up, they tend to escalate further. And now we're dysregulating each other. Whereas if someone starts to dysregulate, and you're able to hold your regulation. So you're holding that space, you're modeling, we would say from an ABA standpoint, we would say you're modeling that regulation place. You're showing them where they can come back to. That is going to help support them to re-regulate back down.
And it's yeah, totally. And for the parents, it's not easy.
No. Oh my God. And like, it's also like dysregulation. Like, this is one of the other things is dysregulation is part of life, right? You are going to get dysregulated multiple times a day. When we talk about a regulated nervous system, it's about having a flexible nervous system. So it's about being able to have that parasympathetic, have that sympathetic activation, get heightened, get a little bit stressed, have your heart rate go up, start sweating. There's a threat in your environment, whether or not that threat is your child having a meltdown in the shopping center. That is a threat, right? Like, your body's going to activate. And it's your ability to go into activation, but then come back down to re-regulate yourself back down. And that's having a flexible nervous system. That's having a regulated nervous system. So we're not avoiding dysregulation. That's not life, but we are going to dysregulation and coming out of it. And that's what our learners, I say kids, but really it's anyone, young adults as well. When our nervous systems get stuck in that dysregulation, that's where the problem is. And so for our kids, if they're having that meltdown, that's why you'll see like a meltdown that's like 3 hours. And it's like they are stuck in that place, that high activation, high arousal state for 3 hours. Like, their nervous system is just shot. And that's a dysregulated nervous system.
Yeah. What are some keys for parents to be able to come back down? And
Yeah.
I'm listening.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a moment with my 9-year-old yesterday, and afterwards I was looking back on it, and I was like, I handled that terrible. It was just embarrassing.
Yeah. And I think like I think what I highlight to my parents is like, you're gonna have an emotional reaction. Like, that is okay. That is part of life, right? But even if you do have an emotional reaction, we want to bring you down kind of as fast as we can so that you can then re-regulate your child. I think my number one things are like, okay, is everybody safe? Right? Like, let's make sure everybody's safe. If everybody is safe, great. That's step one. And what do we need to do to get everybody safe? Do we need to move some things out of the environment? Do we need to have siblings kind of leave the area because we need a bit of space? And then it's about understanding like where your child is at, you being able to also engage in some of the strategies and model them. So as I always roll my eyes when I say take a deep breath, but really connecting back into your body, like getting back into your body and what's happening, connecting back into your breath. Even like sometimes I have parents like just start to squeeze your hands because it's just bringing you back into your own body. And then you can kind of recenter and be like, okay, what are we doing? Okay, what is my primary purpose here? My primary purpose is to co-regulate my child. I'm going to make sure that my voice is at a conversational tone. It's moving. I'm talking at a normal rate. I'm not talking fast. I'm not talking high speed, high pitch. I'm just talking in a conversational way. I am maybe modeling myself squeezing my hands for my child. Maybe I'm putting my hands out to offer them to my child. If you need me, I'm right here. I'm validating emotions. I understand this is really hard right now. You are safe. Not you are okay, but you are safe. Your body is safe right now. I am here for you. When you need me, I'm right here. And some people need less kind of verbal talking. Some people need a little more verbal coaching. Some people like the lights off. Like I tend to try and create the environment in a way that is going to be as regulating as possible. So for a lot of our kiddos, they do have sensory processing differences, and what our bodies may interpret as a level 5 sensory input, their bodies are interpreting it a level 9, and it's like somebody is just screaming at them, even if you're just talking in a conversational tone. And that's always heightened dysregulation, right? Like the volume is turned up. So setting up that environment. I always think as well for parents, like, and this is what I do with my parents, is we just have a plan. We've got like 3 steps that we do. We make it simple and we practice it, because for parents, like, you're also learning a new skill. So learning takes time. We're creating behavior change for parents who have not done this, say, for 35 years of their life, and now they have to learn this skill. And that's going to take time too. So giving yourself some grace, giving yourself some love and compassion, and knowing that you're also doing the best that you can right now is the foundation, I think.
Yeah. And that's so big. A lot of the self-care comes into play also. And it's like a common myth for parents. You know, understandably, like you want to show up for your kid and be everything you can. And that's kind of like your default, and you do it subconsciously. But taking that extra step to make sure that you are caring for yourself so you can show up regulated.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's a lot what Heidi and I talked about when she was on some months ago.
But then there's the challenge, I think, for some parents who it's like, okay, well, we don't have the supports for me to be able to leave. My child cannot co-regulate with anyone else. We don't have the funding to get someone else here. My child won't tolerate anybody else here. Like there's so many, it's very easy for us to say to our families, like, okay, yeah, go take a coffee, go get a walk, like do what you need to do, re-regulate yourself. But a lot of my parents will be like, yeah, but I can't. Like, I understand what you're telling me, and I know it's important. Like, the knowledge is there for me, but I can't put that into practice because there's so many barriers. And so sometimes it's like we have to just work back to like the tiniest little pinch. Like, can you do 10 minutes of a podcast before everyone gets up? And maybe that's all we can get right now, but that's something.
Yeah, or some breath work or something.
Yeah. Because it feels like we're just adding another pressure of like, okay, now go take time for yourself. Well, you didn't take time for yourself. Well, now you're not regulated. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, now I'm getting in trouble for not self-caring.
Right. And then at the end of the day, it's like, okay, it was a rough day and you didn't show up well, but you still have tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of like having that clarity in your mind to like be able to reflect, but then move on.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, knowing that you're in it every day and you're not going to get it right every day.
No. Not even close.
Yeah. Like I have parents like they'll be like, "Oh my God, you come in and you're just so calm and you're just so and I'm like, I come in for 2 hours and then I'm out. Like this is not my life. I am
Yeah,
here, I support, and I leave. You guys are in it constantly. Of course I show up differently. It's my job.
right.
Like if it were
And
my kids, I would be you."
totally. And that's the biggest flex for parents. And that's why I started this space, because I was like, nobody understands the life that a special needs parent lives. And especially on the profound side, and
Mm,
getting those stories out there. It's like,
mm.
and I would always tell my staff, when they would complain, or they're like, oh, today was so hard, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you have no idea. We go home and we go home.
Yeah.
Parents drop their kids off and they're still with the kid. They're still like teachers educate, caregivers support, parents are life
Yeah.
for the kid. So,
Yeah.
all right, I'm going to fire through like 6 questions.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, independence or acceptance? It's kind of a weird one.
Independence or acceptance?
Like
Can I say both?
yeah, yeah, explain.
I, I I think that I'm always moving my learners, and keep in mind I also work with young adults, so that's really flags that for me too.
Hmm.
But we're always working towards, we say interdependence. I like interdependence because none of us are fully independent, right? We all rely on other people. And so, but I'm always moving towards a point of like, let's get you to do what you want to do so that you don't have to rely on other people to do everything, because that impacts your ability to do what you want to do with your life, right? If you can't leave the house because you need someone to help you get dressed, like, okay, great, now your autonomy is slightly less. And so
Hmm.
if we can facilitate some of that independence to then support autonomy, they can go hand in hand.
Right,
Makes
right,
sense?
right, right. I got you. I got you. Okay, then compliance or autonomy?
Oh, we need to just scratch the word compliance. Can we just never
Yes.
use it ever again? Because it's
Stupid.
only used in the disability space. If I don't do something, you would not say to me, Ellie, you're being non-compliant, would you?
Hmm.
It's like this word that is just
It's
wrapped up
supposed to
with
feel
all of these horrible connotations.
right. You must do what I say.
Yeah, you're non-compliant. And I'm like, we're teaching our kids to self-advocate. If they say no to you, that's a win.
That's a
Like,
win.
we are
100%.
happy.
Right, right. All right, eye contact. Is it necessary or overrated?
Well, through ABA, you'd think yes, but absolutely not. We are not doing eye contact.
All right, who needs to change more, the child or society?
Oh my gosh. Society. We have so far to go.
Is This is a loaded question, and we'll talk about it more. Is
Mm.
ABA evolving fast enough?
Depends who you work with.
Oh, good, good. All right. Last one. Biggest lie parents are told.
Your kid can't learn.
Ooh. Which brings up, I saw. Okay, you have the Behave podcast,
Mm.
and it's live.
Mm.
When this episode drops, you are live.
Yes.
Um, and there was a in the
Port Macquarie.
Port Macquarie newspaper news. This is Australian talk. I don't know my
Edit.
Australian. It said that this project was born out of necessity, not ambition. Can you
Mm.
unpack that?
Mm. Um, yeah, I mean, the behavior space in Australia is very different to the States. It's all government funded, which is great in the sense of everybody has access to it. The struggle is that when everybody has access to it, a lot of people don't have access to it to some extent. For those people who we are looking at especially for our early learners, behavior support is funded for individuals where there's high risk. And so we're looking at more of those teens, young adults, quite high risk behaviors. But then in the opposite end, our kids aren't getting funded for behavior support because they're kids, right? And parents can control the risk, and it's developmentally appropriate. And for some kids it is. But behavior strategies help everybody, right? Neurotypical, neurodivergent, everybody can benefit from some proactive behavior support.
I can.
And yeah, seriously. I mean, I have to behavior manage myself. But yeah, what Erica and I were finding is that there's so many people who are coming to us and saying, this is what's happening. I really, really need some help. And we're handcuffed to be like, well, we can't actually help you because you don't have the funding to help. Like, you don't have the funding to use with us. And so we were like, these parents are so motivated. They want to know what to do. They're smart. They're in their kids' lives. They are living it day to day. If we can start to kind of support by giving some really good quality information that they can apply, that we think that would be really life-changing, and it would help across the board. So that's part of where Behave has come from. The other part is that, as you know, the behavior space, with your use of compliance, right? The behavior space has a long way to grow. And we are both really passionate about that and about disseminating the new way to do things, the updated version of how we can do things based on, what we've heard from the community, what we've heard from the disability community, and right, what we've learned through our experience as practitioners.
All right, so ABA, Applied Behavior Analysis. It's a controversial word. It's a a life-saving word for many when done correctly. Full disclosure, I would always clash with the behavior specialists.
Let's talk about
primarily because of this compliance. Every time they would come into my classroom, I wouldn't see them for months and months. And then they would come in and look at all my students and observe for about 30 minutes. And then I would have to spend an entire day talking about my behavior strategies with these experts. And they would tell me from their 30-minute observation on how I could achieve better compliance. And I'm like, you have no idea anything about these students.
Yeah.
And so we would clash, and they would tell me, well, this is scientifically proven and all the data and research shows it. And I'm like, yeah, but you're missing the biggest picture. You're not even seeing the student.
Yeah.
All you're seeing is what he's doing. But that was my biggest thing. And ABA, it definitely worked with a lot of my students, done correctly, seeing the child first.
Yeah.
And then kind of.
So ABA does work. It's the science of learning and behavior. It is not disability specific. It is across the board. It's used in sport. It's used in business. It is just the science of learning and behavior. So it does work. But it's about, I think the big clash is about how it's used, how it's applied. What is our goal? What is our primary focus? If our primary focus is compliance, it is going to be applied in a way that does not support that learner in the way that we want to be. Like, okay, great. You did your worksheet, but you did it while sobbing the whole time, and then you ripped it up at the end, and you required hand over hand prompting. Is that success? Like, is that a measure to us? Is that how we're defining success? No. Right? But if we're defining success as, oh, I put the paper in front of you, you were able to tell me no, I gave you like a couple minutes, and then you did the first line and you said finished. Great. Like, how awesome is that? Last week you couldn't do that. And it might take us a term to get you to complete the whole paper, but you've also learned how to say stop. You've also told me you're finished. You've done it regulated. Your nervous system and your baseline is way better, which means you've probably interacted in the rest of your day better. Like, so both are ABA.
Right, right.
But it's
What?
what we're defining as our target, I guess.
Yeah. So practically, what does ABA look like with some of your clients? Do you call them
Mm.
clients?
Yeah.
Clients.
Yeah. So, I mean, without like I do toilet training with some of my younger kids. Most of my kids will have self-advocacy goals. So around being able to say, stop, more, finished. And when I say, I mean in whatever way they choose to communicate that. So we'll teach sign. I have one kid who will say help. He's decided it's like putting his palms together and like almost like a little praying, thank you, thank you. That's his sign for help. Great, cool, let's go with it. Like, I don't need you to do the keyword sign for help or use your device in this exact, well, yeah, exactly. Like,
Right.
great, if that's your help, then we teach everybody in your environment that that's your help. Beautiful. Like, let's move on. So yeah, I work on a lot of self-regulation, emotional regulation, communication, self-advocacy. With my older learners, it's really based on whatever is their priority. So I'm like, this is what I think based on what you've talked to me about with where you need help, like where you want help, where you want your life to go. This is what I think, but what do you think? How does this fit for you? You tell me. And then we go from there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So what is like? Why is it so praised by some and like such a polarizing word by others?
I think probably it's going to depend on your experience,
Yeah.
who you've worked with, what their approach was. We do, I think, as well, in terms of the severity of behavior. So when you are working with a individual who has quite high risk, severe behavior, that can be handled in one of two ways. It can be handled in a way that you are going to try and what we call reinforce, like reward, for lack of a better term, a low level behavior, a warning sign behavior, so that we don't get up to escalation and we're just working. And from an outsider looking in, you're like, oh, well, you're just giving in, right? You're giving into that low level behavior. And it's like, absolutely I am, because now we haven't got to the place of self-injury and we're going to work in that threshold until we can bring it down and skill develop, right?
Mm-hmm.
But another person's experience might be like, no, we're pushing through this. We've placed that demand. We are following through on that demand. Otherwise, they're going to think that they don't need to do that in the future. And you think once we've gotten to the point of self-injury that any learning has occurred? Absolutely not. So you think you've taught your demand because you've pushed it and the science shows that you have to follow through, but actually you haven't. And if you had just worked in the space of a lower level behavior and reinforced that, it could be like, okay, you don't want to do this. Great. You showed me that by swiping that thing away. I'm out. Great. Great communication. That's because that's what you've got right now. And that's fine.
Yeah. So then, has ABA harmed people? Which I had a very, I was talking with a friend the other day,
Mm,
and I have an IEP course coming out, an
mm,
online 10 module course to walk parents through like
mm.
what they
Oh my
actually,
gosh, that will be amazing. That's so needed.
yeah,
For
because no,
professionals too. I've gone into those IEP meetings as a young BCBA and I'm like, what is this? What's happening? I don't know
yes,
what to say. I don't know what to do. I don't know what your rights are. And so that's amazing.
right. And I'm having an advocate review it because my teacher
Mm,
language doesn't fly with legal terms, you know.
yeah.
And so we were talking about ABA, and she was saying how when it's done wrong, how much pressure it places on the child to
Mm,
comply, you know. And
mm,
then they grow up just always on edge and their nervous system's never regulated. And then
Yeah.
they learn the skills out of fear rather than like intrinsic motivation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's interesting.
I think we have to listen to the community as well, and listen to the people who have lived experience with ABA, and they share that it has been harmful. So I don't think that we can shy away from that. I think that we have to acknowledge, like, ABA, like a lot of other things, was built out of the medical model of disability. It was built with a deficit-based lens, and it was built with this idea of we are working to make neurodivergent people look like and behave like neurotypical people. And with that, goals were chosen that I think are harmful, and we've heard are harmful. And punishment strategies have been used. Like, let's not ignore that, right? I've heard of Tabasco. Yeah, I've heard of Tabasco being put on a kid's tongue when they spit, a way to discourage them from spitting. Like, that's ABA, right? Oh, well, and by definition, okay, well, when we did that, it decreased the behavior, therefore the intervention was successful, right? But again, what are we defining success at? If that caused the child harm and distress, was that successful? We got our behavior outcome, but no, like, this child was harmed in the process, so no. So yeah, ABA definitely, I think it's important to acknowledge that it has.
It has harm for sure. So, all right, tell me about hype disability success. How did that start? How old is it? And yeah, what's
Yeah, our first birthday is next month.
Nice.
It started really out of my experience working in the States and I've been really lucky in my career in that I've actually never had the bad experience of ABA. I think because of the time I've come in. I mean, like, yeah, I've worked with incredible supervisors. I've worked in settings that are very neuroaffirming, obviously not getting everything right, but much better than a lot of other people's experiences with ABA. So I've had a really positive experience with ABA. And I've also been able to work with spellers, so non-speakers who use spelling to communicate. And those two things wrapped together, I think, has given me a really unique experience and understanding of working with disability. And sorry, my dogs can you stop?
Nice.
Oh my God, they're like growling. I'm like, mommy's talking. But yeah, essentially, like, my experience in the States opened my eyes and gave me all of this understanding about a whole different approach to non-speakers, sensory processing differences, apraxia, all of that. And when I moved to Australia, I was like, I have all of this knowledge and I want to create this amazing thing that actually promotes. First of all, we wanted a disability brand that was cool, because we're like, you know what? Yeah. We don't want young adults don't want to feel babysat for the rest of their lives. Like, you turn 18 and you're done. No one thinks you can learn anything anymore. While neurotypical people, their worlds are opening up. You're going to university. You've got your whole life ahead of you. For people with disability, it's like, oh, actually, you didn't learn the skill up until now. You're never going to be able to learn it. You're done. And we're like, fuck no, that's not our approach. There is a whole world out there that you can continue to learn and access and grow into. And we want you to, like, feel cool doing it. We want it to be a vibe. Like, we've set up our clinic. Well, we don't call it a clinic. We call it a center. Hype HQ, actually. And it's like, right. And we've got swings and plants, and it's really light and all of these different sensory things. And it's just a place for you to move and learn in whatever way fits you and your body. And the feedback we get is like, people come in and they're like, oh, it doesn't feel like gross. And I'm like, yeah, because that's how standard.
It's like, not like institutionalized.
Yeah. And it's like, it's just not clinical and you don't feel like you're going to therapy. And like for a lot of our learners, like they've been in speech therapy and OT their whole lives. They're like, I don't want to do this anymore. And so our approach is like, you don't have to. Like learning can be done everywhere. That is the plus side of ABA, right? It does really focus on, well, one component of it focuses on naturalistic teaching and generalization. And it's like, we can learn wherever. So let's do that.
So then what does disability success actually mean? And who gets to define it?
Yeah, the learner, the person.
100%.
However they want, like all of my young adults pick their goals. I don't pick them. It's like, this is, what do you, tell me about your life. Tell me where you want to go. What does a good life look like to you? Great. This is what I think will help you get there. What do you think? How does that sound to you? And I can bring my clinical knowledge of like, okay, if we learn these kind of pivotal skills, they're actually going to open up multiple branches for you in that you'll be able to do lots of new different things, whether compared to if we just work on one tiny skill in the corner. And I can give that knowledge. But if they're like, no, like all I want to do is work on my ability to, I don't know, sew. I really want the fine motor to sew. Like that is what's going to give me quality of life. I know you're telling me that I need to do X, Y, and Z, but this is what's of value to me. Great, cool. Let's look at how that's of value to you, but then let's also look at your motivation to do that and how we can explore off that, right? Because it's all about, I think, also educating around, what I see a lot is that people don't realize what they're capable of because society and the people around them are telling them that that's not an option for them, right? So it's like, you can only go and stack groceries in a grocery store because you have a disability and that's the job that's available to you. And it's like, okay, but what if I don't want to do that? And no, that's what you're going to do. Which is bullshit. Like you have the capability, and that's where we come in, is we're like, okay, no, if you don't want to do that, don't do that. But also let me tell you and let me give you permission to not want to do that. Because I think a lot of, as well, what we see is people with disability, the world is not set up for them and the world is not created to include them. And so there's this acceptance of like, whatever you give me, I'll take. Great. You're telling me that I can participate in society if I stack groceries. Great. I'll just stack groceries. That's fine. But it doesn't have to be that way. And I think, that's where we come in. And that's what I'm really passionate about, is about opening up people's worlds and helping them believe and understand and gain success in doing these bigger things that I know they're capable of. They just need support seeing that.
Right. It really flips like every perception on its head.
Yeah.
And when you presume competence.
Well, this is where it's all come from. Like, it's all come from my experience working with spellers.
Yeah.
It changed everything for me. It changed how I viewed autism. It changed how I viewed all disability. It was really foundational for me. And it's what I've built my clinical practice off.
Yeah, that's so cool. So you brought up apraxia. Can you debunk some myths on that?
Yeah, I can try. I'm definitely not the guru on apraxia. I have many more people to speak on that, but I will definitely do my best.
Yeah, because apraxia essentially is the brain-body disconnect, right? And,
yeah.
And then when you presume competence, you presume, not assume, because assume still carries doubt. But when you presume, you believe it to be, and like especially even like all my students early on, I came to this realization that they are incredibly smart, they are incredibly with it in their head, but as we said, society paints this picture that they have no idea what's going on. But I'm like, you just hang out with one for one day and shove all that aside and see the student for who he is, and you're going to realize real quick, like, this guy just needs to be unlocked.
Yeah. Well, I think as well, it's around. So, first of all, we determine intellect, or we can determine understanding based on language and responding, right? But if we look at someone who has apraxia, so speech apraxia is very known, but whole body, this idea of whole body apraxia, where there's a barrier to the brain talking to the body to initiate the movement or a plan. So if I'm requiring for you to show me that you understand, you need to follow my instruction, but your brain can't talk to your body successfully to get your body moving to show me the instruction, my understanding is that you don't know what I've said, but that's not true, right? Mm-hmm. There's the disconnect for you is that you can't perform the motor action. And that part changed everything. Yeah. This idea of expressive language does not equal receptive language. So just because you can't speak and you can't say it doesn't mean you don't understand what you're being told. Mm-hmm. That was the other game change. So I now just go in with this presumption that everybody that I work with, age appropriately, understands what I'm telling them.
Yeah. And I feel like that is the one thing to shift society, is to bring awareness around this apraxia and presuming competence.
Yeah. And going back to that idea of pressure, like that's what I've learned from non-speakers, is this idea of like, when you presume competence, you're taking the pressure off me to prove to you that I'm worthy and I understand, right? Mm-hmm. When I feel safe, like the foundation of co-regulation, when I feel safe because I don't feel like I have to prove something to you, I now am more regulated and have access to more of my skills and can actually do more and quote unquote perform better.
Right. So what does it look like for a new client to come to Hype? What would they expect?
So I meet with so we've got a couple different programs we do, but like we do we do behavior support, we do like one-to-one services with our younger kiddos, and then we do like group programs with our young adults, and those are all built around this idea. We call it Hyped Up. And it's all built around this idea of like, yeah, we're learning in a community. We're working on, it's like this mix between personalized and kind of general learning programs. But everything is based off of the individual. So it's like, cool, what does your body need? How does your body work? What is your communication style? What supports do you need? Let's make sure that you feel safe, regulated, excited to come and be in this environment, because that's the foundation for everything, right? Your quality of life is going to be what we build off. And so that's step one, is you come into Hype and you find your place, you find your community, you find your safety. And then we go. And then we figure out, okay, let's go. What are we learning? How are we doing it? What's your goal? Where are we trying to get to? Let's go at your pace. Like, that's the other thing, is like learning takes time, and it doesn't have to be, none of our stuff is we sit down and we drill a practice. Like it's the opposite. We're like, cool, how can we do this? Should we do it on a walk? Should we do it on a swing? Like, let's go get a coffee. Like, it's very community connection based. And that's how I love to work.
Right. And you're teaching skills while living life.
Yeah.
Which is how you should learn anyways. I mean, I homeschool my kids 3 days a week, and then they go to a co-op 2 other days a week. Yeah. And most of we do have a curriculum we go through, but most of the time I'm like, let's just go to Home Depot, buy some wood, draw up like a bench or some blueprints, and let's learn math by building something. Because we need a shoe rack, it's like those kind of things I feel like needs to happen more.
Yeah, and I think for some kids that that is their primary way of learning, right?
Yeah.
Like if you put them in a school setting, they are not going to be as successful. Um, Whereas if that's how they need to learn, especially depending on what's going on in their life, right? Like if there's other factors going on and they can't handle that kind of school environment, that's okay. Like it also doesn't mean forever. I think that that's another highlight that I talk to parents around. It's like if we need to just make a change and take a pause and find our baseline again and re-regulate down, it's not that we're never going back to school. It's just that maybe right now we're reducing and we're getting our baseline back, and then we can look to reintroduce.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. So how has working with the disability community changed you as a person?
Oh my God.
Now we're getting deep.
Yeah. I mean, oh my God. It's brought me the most joy that I think I could have had in my life. I still, like, I have pictures of my clients from the States still in my office here because
Yeah.
I just think I'm so grateful for how much I've learned from certain clients and how they've taken the time to shape me and the kindness to invest in me and teach me so that then I can move forward and teach others. I think about a certain client who is older, and like if you think about an 18-year-old, how many practitioners have they gone through? So many. How many people have come into their life and try and fix things and thought that they knew best, and how exhausting must that be for a person? And so I met him at 18, and I was a newer BCBA, and so I thought I knew what was going on, but hadn't worked with non-speakers and didn't have a full understanding of that stuff yet. And he could have totally just like, you know, put me off to the side and be like, oh, she's just another one. But he took the time to like actually invest in me and be like work with me and help me and teach me about how to work with him. So it was like this beautiful circle where we were both learning from each other. And I think I'm very grateful for those individuals who have helped me become better. And I'm like, obviously, we're always still learning. So it's not that I don't get it wrong sometimes, but I think it should be highlighted that when our learners take the time to teach us, we should be very grateful for that, because they have a lot of people coming in and out of their lives who are trying to tell them what to do. Unfortunately.
Totally. It definitely unlocks a different level of gratitude, not in the sense of like they have their certain capabilities and I don't have those, so I'm thankful for it, not in that sense at all. But the level of gratitude, hanging out with these students and this community and seeing how they go about life with so much joy, and it's like, man, I can learn so much from that and apply that to my life. And just like, they show up and they do the best they can with what they got.
Oh my
And
God.
that's what I love. It's
Yeah.
like there's no faking it.
It must be sometimes. Like
Yeah.
how frustrating it must be that your body is not listening to you, or that you know what you want to say. You want to tell this person you understand, but you can't. Like, of course behavior arises, right?
Of course they're gonna punch you. I would punch you too.
Yep.
Like
And sometimes you look at the situation and you're like, well, maybe you didn't need to place the instruction 5 times. Like, I think you almost brought that on yourself. You did bring that on yourself.
Oh, totally. I one time I had a staff sit down, and there was one student in particular he kept punching her, and
Yeah.
I was like, she was like, "What am I doing wrong?" I was like, "Do you want me to show you?" And so I was like, sit down right here, sit down. And I just got all up in her personal space. I repeated the instruction. She was saying it like every 5 seconds. I'm like, how do you
Yeah.
feel? How do you feel right now? She's like,
Yeah.
I want to punch you. Like, there it is.
Yeah.
It's pretty, it's
Yeah.
pretty
Seriously.
straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what's a big red flag parents should never ignore when they're seeking out a service such as yours or therapy?
Um, my thing that I always say to parents is just trust your gut. If it feels wrong to you, move on. I don't care what people are telling you. I don't care if this has been said to be the intervention you need to be doing. If it doesn't, you know your child. And so if it doesn't feel right for you, if your gut's screaming out to be like, this isn't working, I don't like it, just go. Like bad therapy is worse than no therapy at all.
Totally.
So like, yeah, you can have any professional being like, this is what we need to do. And da, 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 da. And it's like, you're like, I don't like it. Just don't.
Yeah. We'll close it out with a couple more questions. What would you say to a parent who feels like their child is being molded into someone they're not?
Quit therapy.
Quit.
Again, trust your gut.
Totally.
Like, if your child's being told not to stim, get out.
Uh-huh.
Like, I, I do think there's this idea that therapy is the solution to everything and that more therapy is better. And it's just not the case. Like, good therapy is definitely amazing. And working with people who get your kid and get you and get your goals and are on your team and are working on things with you is amazing. But if it's not that, it's not worth sitting in 12 hours of ABA therapy a week that are making everybody feel like shit.
Right, right. And not doing it just because you're told to.
Yeah, like not doing it because you think that's what you have to be doing. Like, oh, if I don't do, I've seen so many families who, especially with younger kids, have done that like 40 hours of ABA for the first 3 years of their life. And they're like, I'm just scared to stop. And it's like, it doesn't need to be forever, but a break. Like, just take a pause and take a break and let's see what life looks like for a second with less of it. And then let's see how much we actually need. Because, like, 40 hours is so much.
Totally. Totally.
Like,
So if every parent listening could understand one thing about their child, what would you want it to be? Or two? One or two.
I think going back to like presuming competence in your child and assuming your child can learn
Yeah.
because your child can learn. And just because I think the other thing is just because we try and learn a skill, say at age 5, doesn't mean and it doesn't work. That's okay. Doesn't mean we can't try again at age 7. Like, it doesn't mean just because your child doesn't learn something in the way you think they're meant to learn it at the time you think they're meant to learn it, doesn't mean they'll never learn it. And the other thing I think is don't be afraid to change what you're doing. So just because you're taking one route and it's not working, that doesn't mean it'll never work, but we need to be watching the situation and making changes based on what we're seeing. Because if we just keep doing the same thing over and over again that's not working, we're driving the kid insane, you're driving yourself insane. Like, make a change. Don't be afraid to.
That is the definition of insanity.
Yeah, seriously.
Doing the same thing and expecting different results.
But you're telling yourself, oh no, I know it's going to work. The evidence shows it's going to work, da, 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 da. And it's like, no, like, let's just pivot. Like, don't be afraid to tell your clinician to pivot. Don't be afraid to say, this isn't working for us. I need you to change something. And they might say, no, we're almost there. No. change something.
Which, I mean, that brings up a interesting thought. Intuition plays so much into how you work with students. And that was the biggest challenge I had with staff in my class. And I could tell right when they walked in, like, all right, they're going to struggle. They're going to get beat up. They don't have it. And a lot of people don't have that intuition to work with this community.
Oh my
Can
gosh,
it,
you're so tapping into something that I'm so, yes.
can it be learned, or is it just something you have?
So I will always say to my staff, I can teach you how to implement any program in the world. I can teach you how to respond, follow a behavior plan. But I don't know if I can teach you how to have that soul connection with another person.
Yes.
And I see it time and time again. You get when you connect, and this is, I don't know how I can use scientific language around it, but when you connect on that soul level with another person, and that's what that rapport building and that connection phase is so important, is it's like, we need to build trust. We need to build connection. And that needs to be genuine. That's the other thing. It can't be faked. So
They'll
I think
know quickly.
yeah. The bullshit detector is so high. And I think the other thing is, how many people do they interact with where they're just feeling that energy to see if they're safe or not? And so my thing is, like, if you genuinely don't have that drive and passion to do what you're doing, I can help you build rapport. I can help you understand how to connect. But if your heart doesn't want to do it, I can't teach that. And it's not the right thing to do, because you're not going to enjoy your work. You're not going to have success. You're not going to have success for the learners you work with. Like, it has to be, your heart has to want it.
Right.
I guess that would be another thing for parents is, if your kid doesn't like their therapist, move on.
Yes. Don't
Doesn't
force
necessarily mean it's the therapist's fault. Like, not everyone gets along. Not everyone's the right fit for everyone. But like, if there is like, oh, Jamie's coming over today and they're in tears, see you, Jamie, you're out. Like,
Right. And you could see it pretty quickly. Like,
yeah.
we're starting a class at church for special needs kids that come. Well, it's full inclusion, but we had a meeting about it, and we were talking about, like, how are we going to get volunteers and blah blah blah. And I was like, biggest thing is if we have a lot of volunteers and we need to, like, sift through them, I need to be there, because I'm going to be able to tell very quickly who's going to work.
Yes. And I say that, and from a business perspective, that's really hard, because I'm like, I need to be to everyone. I need to connect with everybody. Da, da, da. And they're like, what are you looking for? And I'm like, it's a vibe. I'm looking for a vibe.
Yes, it's a total vibe.
And I'm like, doesn't align with my BCBA brain, but I'm like, there's an energy I'm looking for, and I'll feel it, and I'll know it, and I'll know if that's going to work.
Right. And if they don't have it, they don't have it.
Yeah. And that's okay, right? Not everyone is meant to do what we do.
And that was my thing in the classroom with my staff. I'm like, I would have a meeting at the beginning of the year. I'm like, I'm going to pair you up with what you're best at. If none of you are trying to become teachers, I don't have time to teach you the skills to be a teacher. If you want to become a teacher, then I'll train you in what you need, what you need. But I'm going to put you exactly where I see you succeeding. And then everybody's life is going to be better, because you're not doing something you're bad
People
at.
should do what they're good at. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and I think, it's the case in the States too, but here especially, like, you can just do support work with no education requirement. And it pays quite well, because it's funded by the insurance body, and there's no barrier to entry. It's like, you want to be a support worker and you want to make $70 an hour, you can. And so anyone can kind of get into disability work, and it's good money. But that means people come in for the wrong reasons, and that's damaging.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, that's so fun. Two behavior junkies just going for it. Like behavior was my jam. I was self-proclaimed behavior
Yeah.
guru, but it's so true. It's the vibe, 100% the vibe.
I know it is like, and yeah, I just have seen it time and time again. And I will say, like, that is one of the skills that I'm really good at, is I really good at connecting. Like, I build that, and because it's genuine, right? Like, people know I want to be there. And so it feels authentic.
And that's the biggest flex for trying when you talk about behavior. I mean, teachers would be like, how do you get them to do it? And I'm like, I didn't do anything. I'm just chill, and they like me, and they're going to respond if they like you. And how do they like me? Is because I treat them just like anybody else.
And I'm not gonna like thumbs down behavior no when you do like the tiniest little thing. Ha ha ha, you're being funny. That's also hilarious. Like, let's just move on. Like, we don't have to like pathologize every behavior. We can also just like be chill and be normal and respond normally. And like, it will mean we don't escalate. Like,
yeah. And on the other side of it, a lot of the behaviors are hilarious. Like, so they are so funny. So I think if you can see it through that lens, it'll take you a long way.
yeah. To some extent, it's just like, let's just chill. Like,
that was funny. Let's move on.
Overreact to everything because we are trying to mold the perfect human being that doesn't exhibit any behaviors and follows every instruction. It's like,
right.
Yeah.
Oh, so funny. All right. So where in Australia are you?
Wow, we're in Port Macquarie. So it's
Port Macquarie.
Like 4.5 hours north of Sydney.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So if you're in Port Macquarie, we're starting to get a lot more Australian listeners. So I hope
there you go.
Somebody's around you that hears this. And then where else can people find you?
So our website is hypedss.com.au. And I'm on Instagram at Ellie Brink Behavior. And then we have our podcast as well, which is Behave the Podcast.
And if you're not local to Port Macquarie, you got to check out the podcast, because in this short hour that I've gotten to know Ellie, she's on point. So you should probably listen to her behavior ways.
Come drop questions to us too, because we want to answer what people want to know, like a hot topic like PDA. We're getting a lot on that. So we're like, okay, we've got to cover PDA. Teaching people just, about things. That's the goal.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. We love these conversations, and our goal is for all of you parents to be seen and heard in community with one another, inspired and equipped to take on this life. Just remember one thing: if you don't hear anything else, if you don't remember anything from this week's episode, hear this: you are enough. You have what it takes. Thanks again for being here.